Today we're doing a cocktail from the Savoy Cocktail book, and you'll never guess what it's called. Hello and welcome to Intoxicated Masculinity, another cocktail video coming at you today. Today the story is less about the cocktail itself and more about the book and the person. So it gives me a really good opportunity to talk about these. So this specifically is the Savoy Cocktail book by Harry Craddock. But what it specifically sort of focuses on is there's a bunch of old cocktail books that you can find on Amazon. And I'm going to leave a link to a few of them below. These very, very old antique cocktail books, they now have reprinted. So you can buy that for about 12 bucks paperback. And just a quick search on eBay says that if you want the original, it'll cost you about $3 from Harry Craddock's 1930 cocktail book. So 12 bucks is definitely significantly better. The cocktail we're going to do today is the Savoy Hotel Special Cocktail number 1, which is why it's not a particularly imaginative name, but I think it's a really interesting cocktail. Developed by Harry Craddock for the Savoy Cocktail, as the name would imply. And it was developed sometime before 1930. He moved to the United States in about 1920. So somewhere in that period, somewhere in the 20s is when he developed that cocktail. So now that we know a little bit about the history of the cocktail, let's go ahead and make it. And magically, we have cocktail ingredients. So this cocktail is going to be very closely related to a martini, based on it being gin and dry vermouth. But we're going to add a couple other things going to make it a little bit interesting. So start off with 2 dashes of grenadine, and actually I'm going to go about 3 or 4 because this dasher is kind of new and it's a little stingy with the dashing. It's asking for 1 dash of absinthe. I'm going to do a spray. There we go. I'm asking for 1 ounce of dry vermouth. And 2 ounces of gin. Now Craddock's recipe does not specify what kind. I'm going to go ahead and use a London Dry. This is Ophir. I'm actually not sure how to pronounce that. I always pronounce it Ophir because I got the letters mixed up in my head. So once again, very closely related to a martini, except a martini, contrary to what James Bond thinks, is typically going to be a stirred cocktail, whereas this is specifically says to be shaken. So we're going to toss that in our shaker. We're going to mix it for a good 10 or 15 seconds. Alrighty. And crack your shaker open there. We're going to toss this in a chilled coupe glass. Now I'm going to double strain this, and I've said this before, anytime I'm doing a shaken cocktail, I like to double strain anyway. It's typically doing it for fruit juices to keep the pulp out of it, but I like to do it to keep the tiny little chunks of ice out of it. I think tiny little chunks of ice in a cocktail are bad. It's really interesting. The grenadine, since there's very, very little grenadine in here, again, just a couple of dashes, but it's enough to give it a nice kind of pink coloration there. Alright, now the Savoy Cocktail book does not list the garnish. Difford suggests a lemon twist, and I'm inclined to agree. So, go ahead and express that over the drink. Rub that on the sides. And there you have your Savoy Hotel Special Cocktail number 1. It's very easy to get those words mixed up in your head, but that's the correct way to do it. It's kind of an interesting experience. Your gin and your dry vermouth are coming through. The absinthe isn't really there. The grenadine is just kind of the lightest hint. I mean, this is basically a martini. Yeah, I think if you want to do this in a little bit different way, I think I would probably maybe add a little bit more grenadine, because this cocktail could use a little bit of sweetness and the grenadine would bring that. In fact, let's try this, do this one different way. Alright, so let's try something a little bit different. I'm going to be honest, I didn't really love that one, so we're going to try to change that up a little bit. Instead of going dash-wise, I'm going to put a good solid 1/4 ounce of grenadine in there. I feel like it was fighting against the dry vermouth a little bit, so I'm going to leave that off entirely. And instead, we're going to go ahead and toss in just about 3/4 ounce to an ounce of lemon juice. We're still going to spray in our dash of absinthe. Then we're going to toss in our 2 ounces of London dry gin. Once again, pour it into your cocktail shaker. Give it a good whack and give it a good shake of about 10-15 seconds. Alright. Crack that open. Gonna get our second chilled coupe glass. Just double strain that right in. As always, give your shaker just a little tap on the side to keep that stuff moving. Once again, you can take a little bit of a lemon zest. Alright, and there we have the Savoy Hotel Special Cocktail number 3. Okay, you see, I think, not to question the great Harry Craddock, because he is a much more accomplished cocktailier than me. I feel like the dry vermouth and the grenadine are kind of fighting against each other, and when you're just dashing it, you're getting like this hint of the grenadine, but you're not getting any real flavor, and it tastes a little bit hollow. Here, using a 1/4 ounce of grenadine, we're not actually adding any simple syrup or anything like that. So introducing a little bit of sweetness to the cocktail is not hurting it at all. And then it's really mixing well with the citrus and the botanicals, the gin. Yeah, I think I'd go ahead and have this one, but Harry Craddock has a little more gravitas than me, so I'd encourage you to try both and tell me what you think. So, we have 2 Savoy cocktails. I'll let you be the judge of which one is the best. So again, in the comments below, tell me what you think, which one you'd prefer, how you would change it up, and I want to thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, and have a good drink, and have a good day.